Yeah, this is Paul. Yeah. I decided to sit over here. I was talking to a woman and she said something I thought was very interesting. She said, "So far, so good." But in Denmark, far is the word that is used to describe father, and good is somewhat of a universal word. Good. And it's a big question. Are you sowing the European system of the fish family of those that are in breeding societies, or are you sowing what is really good? Now, I know I've been emailing the European Union for quite a long time, and I'd mentioned certain treaties and conventions, and I'd emailed constitutional courts throughout the world, and it seemed to me that I could try in any jurisdiction anywhere in the world those that refuse to enforce the laws because of treaties and conventions. Now, last night I made a little video about the bad behavior of those in the United States Supreme Court, and how if they have knowledge that the Constitution is not being enforced, that they might have to have a jury trial in the United States Supreme Court. Original jurisdiction. The state of Washington is named as the plaintiff in a lawsuit involving the inbreeding of the genetics of the population. That's probably one of those types of jury trials that, as an American citizen, if I found out that you cloned me, pooch, or my sons, I'd sue you in the United States Supreme Court, and they'd get to hear a jury trial. Now, I know what is good. I had been walking one day, and there was this very old man. He looked like an old fish. Yes. And the only word that he said was good. As if in the fish family they had wanted to separate what was good and what was evil. Now, I've heard that there's good giants and evil giants, and there's good fish family members and there's evil fish family members. There's this, and then there's that. Now, when you think about sowing the father of good, it could be that in the European Union they might actually have some inbreeding problems of those that have been in the family for a very long time. Now, a lot of these fish are very attractive. You approach a fish when they're, anytime from 18 to about 85, 90 years old, and they just touch your nose and call it good. All of a sudden, a human woman spreading her legs and conceiving another one of their genetically modified fish family members. They seem to always have sex during ovulation. They like to have twins, triplets, or quadruplets. They like to get the genetics and make another couple hundred of themselves, and then they like to put them in different places throughout the world and somehow arrange for those that are citizens to cross paths with their own genetics. How are they in the European Union? Because I'm being obstructed from suing Washington State in the United States Supreme Court, and maybe I just need to take them right to The Hague for war crimes involving the mutilation, the modification, the use of the genetics of American citizens without their consent or knowledge. Now, let's say you're elected to office in Washington State, and it's such that you've always been able to have the sex that you wanted because you had to come to find out with an actual human woman, and you had to do it during ovulation, and you had to get the genetics so you could make more of yourselves. Now, in The Hague, it would be considered a war crime to take the genetics of a citizen and make weapons out of the genetics. Now, inbreeding has been studied for thousands of years. There are certain reasons why incest is illegal, and when you inbreed enough of the generations, it causes a weird sort of psychosis that being in the family is so much more important than being a citizen. And I'm not above just suing every oath of office in The Hague for the war crimes of using the genetics of citizens so as to inbreed the population and cause all of those elected or appointed to office to have a weird sort of psychiatric problem called the inbred malicious. Now, I'm going to need to know all the elected and appointed oaths of office in the European Union and every nation in Europe. Yeah, let's go ahead. I'm going to need to know the genetics of all of those in law enforcement in every nation of the world. And I'm going to need to know every attorney, every judge, justice, and all of those in every constitutional court, every place on the planet. Now, let's say I found out that some inbreds without their knowledge, because I know you're a Supreme Court justice, and a lot of them have weight problems. They've been eating quite a bit of pork, to tell you the truth. But they didn't realize their parents were actually genetically, well, they're not mutated, they're in the family, and one parent was actually having sex with the other parent. They were born, but they were siblings without their knowledge. It could be that all of the Supreme Court justices in every state of the United States are a bunch of inbreds. Could you get me the actual employees of every court of every nation? Yeah, let's go ahead. And then I wanted to know those in the European Union. Is it so, the Father, so good as if we were all going to be children of one genetic mutating fish family member that happened to be so good?